It is with respect and gratitude that I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we gather this evening, the Nara people, and I pay my respects to their elders, past and present. 1 woman per week in Australia dies at the hands of her current or former partner. 1 in 3 Australian women will be affected by domestic violence in their lifetime. That's a woman like you or me, your daughter, your mum, or the lady that sold you a coffee with a smile, who you never would have pegged as having slept in a car last night because she was too scared to go home. Statistically, 1 of these women will die this week, and I don't think any women believe they will become, in addition to these statistics. I thought I was exempt. I thought I was the exception to the rule. I was not. I am a survivor. In my 19 years of life, I have faced many adversities. Some were big and some were small. It's been a tough ride, but would have been tougher if I had to do it alone, which at one point, that's all I wanted to do. I pushed people out. I didn't speak to anyone about what was going on for me. I completely shut down. In 2012, I was 16 and studying my final year at school. I realised I needed to leave the environment I called home, or I feared I wouldn't have a future. Leaving that environment was the first step to my new life. During this time, I was referred to Mandy at Whitsunday Crisis and Counselling, where I continued to seek support for 2 years. For 2 years, almost every week, I would see Mandy. And at the start, a lot of our sessions were either spent with Mandy mainly talking, while I pretended to listen, or just in silence. I wasn't trying to be rude, but I'd put up a lot of walls, and at the time I felt no one could break them down. I just didn't want to face what was going on. Eventually, I decided to speak up, and although it was the hardest thing to do, now I can look back and I'm grateful that I did, and that Mandy stuck by my side. Mandy was able to break down my walls, showed me she truly did care, and gave me many reasons to trust her. Mandy never gave up on me, even when I had given up on myself. Almost every day, someone will tell me I'm too stubborn. So for Mandy to break down my barriers is just an example of the amazing work Mandy and her colleagues do. In January of this year, I finally felt free of the chains that were holding me down and came to the decision that I would cease counselling. Despite not being Mandy's client anymore, she is and always will be an important person in my life, and I'd never be able to thank her enough for pulling me out of severe darkness. Speaking to someone who genuinely listened and cared made it possible for me to face these challenges, which is why I encourage you to speak up and reach out if you are a victim of domestic violence. I wrote the following poem to express what I was going through. It was one of the hardest things to do, but helped me to accept that it had happened and I needed to move on from it. Another night, just like the rest. I hear the floor creak, closer and closer to my bedroom door. I try to stay quiet, hiding under the covers, though I know he will find me. I hope he doesn't hear my heartbeat or hear me praying God will protect me tonight. But as I do, I begin to cry because I know tonight's one of those nights when God just doesn't hear me. I let out one more sob and the door swings open. The hallway light shines in, but the darkness radiates off him. So strong, he has a smile on his face. Nothing will stop him. I can't even defend myself. He rips off my clothes and holds me down. As I try to turn away, he pulls me back and covers my mouth. I am too scared to breathe. A few days pass by. I hear him moaning my name. While stumbling around the house, closer and closer, he is walking toward me. Now he is on my bed, and before he even touches me, I begin to cry as I wonder, where is God tonight? This time I try to fight back. I yell, I cry, I try to break free, but he is too strong. He won't let me go until he is finished. He leaves me lying there to think of what I'd done wrong, to think of ways I could avoid him. The shame gets worse, too afraid to tell, but too hard to hide the pain, day after day. Lord, I would do anything if you would keep him from walking through that door. But it doesn't change. I realise I'm all alone. No one to protect me, no one to save me. Suicide was a high option. God, why have you abandoned me? Can you not see the tears I cry? I will hurt myself later after you have hurt me. This blood that stains the sheets, tangled up on my bed, reminds me of the words, the images you have put inside my head. I can still feel you touching me, grabbing me, forcing my body closer to yours. The feeling of your cold hands all over me, I constantly try to wash away from my scarred skin. You took things I'll never get back. My childhood, my innocence, my self-respect, my trust, my sense of belonging. The pain I hold inside, you will never know. You will never understand that my scars don't even begin to show. I wrote that poem at the age of 17 and still reread it to this day, to empower myself never to fall back there again, and as a reminder of the challenges I have overcome. Since I have faced these challenges, my life now is not how I expected it to turn out. I pictured myself never being able to move on, stuck in a very dark and painful world of self-harm, depression, anxiety, and suicide attempts. I have had many people support me through the darkest days, and I feel I can't let them down, but I also can't let myself down anymore. I can't hurt myself just because other people hurt me. I need to rise above that. I will rise above that. I am rising above that, and I will continue to rise above that. Last year, I was selected as one of 40 people in Queensland to attend the Queensland Indigenous Youth Leadership Program in Brisbane. I initiated and facilitated Whitsunday's first suicide prevention event, Walk Out of the Shadows and Into the Light, completed a certificate for in community services, and have undertaken various amounts of volunteering at different organisations in the community service sector. I was also very grateful to receive a new laptop from the Whitsunday Zonta Club to help with my education. I am now studying a Bachelor of Social Work and got selected to receive a scholarship for university. In June of this year, I will return to the Queensland Indigenous Youth Leadership Program as one of 6 selected mentors. They are just a few things I have done despite having gone through severe adversity. I would not have been able to achieve any of this without stepping through the doors of Whitsunday Crisis and Counselling. There were countless obstacles along the way, but with each step they were overcome. There were frustrations, fears and uncertainties, but with each step they were crushed. There was hardship and self-doubt, but with each small step it was conquered. I took small steps, and of course sometimes I went backwards. But if I chose not to take that first step to leave a violent household, if I chose not to walk into Whitsunday Crisis and Counselling, I definitely would not be where I am today. Sometimes life is all about your dreams, hopes and visions for the future. But there are some days where life is just about putting one foot in front of the other, and that's okay. It takes one step to leave an abusive household or partner, one step to reach out for support, one step to recovery. The question is, will you take that step?